Welcome to Clay Share Con Day 4. We're in the morning sessions and we have our second demo for you. It is the fabulous Kathy Skaggs. Oh my gosh, I just love her so much. She's my best friend, you know. Yeah, she said so. She is going to show you how to print on clay. She has been with us. This is her third year, I think, with Clay Share Con. And so she has a lot of other demos. If you haven't seen them yet, you can go back and watch them later. Don't go now, stay here. But she's amazing. She's a fabulous teacher, and you can follow her on social media. Of course, we'll share all that information with you. So let's head on down to sunny Florida and check in with Kathy and learn all about printing on clay. Hey, Kathy. Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, Jess. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Look at us. We're pretty matchy.
I see this. I love the Clay Share Con. All the Clay Shares merch out there. I love it.
I mean, if you haven't gotten your Clay Share Con,
if you haven't got a shirt, go to claysharemarket.com and get a hoodie, get a shirt. What do you know?
100%.
100%.
100%.
100.
So
awesome. So what are we doing today?
Today, we're going to do predominantly silk screening. The first day we printed on the slabs with found objects, like crazy easy, crazy good. Today, I'm going to share with you a little silk screen information. Oh, let me grab something. A little bit of silk screen information and some kind of workarounds with it and just a little bit of advice with it. And how easy it can be. Because, you know, when I wanted to silkscreen, I always wanted to, but I was scared to death of Photo Central, the photo emulsion and the screens and the squeegees and the pulling the squeegee just right. And I'm like, no, do I want to make silk screens or do I want to make pots? So I'm going to talk to you about literally easy silk screens. And don't forget to remind me at the end of the thing to give you a discount code for that you get 15% off. So I will do that. And if you can always, what I love about Clay Share Con, of course, there's a zillion things I love about Clay Share Con, but one of the things is that you can go back and watch it. And I'll also going to tell you before I leave, information that I have on YouTube that goes more in depth to other processes as well. So without further ado, let's start printing. So I'm going to switch my camera. And I had a little issue with it today, but your husband, Kevin, which is Kevin the Fabulous, married to Jessica the Spectacular, did a great job helping me with this. So he's so calm. Like I'm like, oh my gosh,
he's very
is
chill.
It gonna work?
This is why we work, because he's like the opposite of me. I am the most like high strung person out there and he's the most chill. So
that's what you need.
I know.
So we are using Amoco printing inks. They work with any printmaking process. Jelly plates, silk screens, craft foam stamps, linoleum prints, speedball, I can't remember what they call it, softy cut or something. Any printmaking that you're doing, you can use these inks for. Today we're going to talk about silk screening, but on my YouTube, I'm going to be doing lots of printmaking methods. But what's so great about these is you can adapt them for any printmaking method. You can make them a little bit moist for silk screening with a little bit of super easy distilled water, squirt, squirt, or you can let them dry out a little bit and get thicker for block printing. But they come in these beautiful colors. So they come in white. I don't know the exact names. Let me just call them by their color names. White, red, orange. Look at that orange. Oh my gosh. It is rockin' orange. A beautiful yellow. I use this yellow all the time. Black, you got to have that 100%. Hunter green, medium blue, and turquoise. But remember, you can take all the colors and make what you want. So this is hunter green and the yellow. Now, what I like, I used to make my own inks, but again, what I like about these inks is they're very opaque. So when I used to make yellow or I used to make chartreuse, it was almost invisible. It was very translucent. So these are very opaque. They mix like paints. The first thing, this is, let me put this over here. Hang on. I also mix a lot of them with white to get a light value of any color. Beautiful. So the first thing that I do when I get them is I just stir them up for the beginning of the day or when I open the jar. I think it must make me feel better because I really don't know what it does, but I just feel like that's a good thing. So you can see how thick it is. It's like face cream. This is the consistency I like. So sometimes, like, look at this medium blue. I must like medium blue a lot because there's
I like
not
the
a lot
medium
left in the
blue.
jar. Oh, for
Yeah.
everything. So when it gets low in the jar like this, all I have to do is spritz it with a little distilled water. You want to use distilled water. You don't want to put anything in there from your, well, I guess if you're drinking your water, it should be good, but I just use distilled water. You don't need gum solution. You don't need anything. But the colors are super bright. They mix like paints. And I don't know the something something that they add in there, but there's
Something,
something in
something.
there that keeps them moist throughout the day when I'm working because, I'm not too conscientious about covering everything up. I like it like this so I can slam bam do some printing. So let's move these over to the side. It's like a cooking show, you know?
It absolutely is.
Ah, you have to have all your ducks in a row, don't you? Okay. So I'll just give you a short little synopsis because we only have 45 minutes and we can be talking on and on about that on this stuff. But one of the silk screens I make is this one. It's so easy. What is this? This is heat transfer vinyl for t-shirts on organza fabric from the fabric store. You don't use silk. I don't care what the mesh size is. All I care about is that the inks go through here, which it does. I've also used sheer curtain fabric, but it has to be a synthetic because this cheap t-shirt material loves this cheap fabric. So cheap loves cheap. Don't go buy a lot of fancy silk. You iron this on. Sometimes I just make basic shapes like this. Like, why? Because I can make a circle and make it look like a bubble. Oh, beautiful. I either hand cut them or I cut them on my die cut machine. So I love these. I did them for the K-12 market. Now I have made a ton of them and I just love them. So this is heat transfer vinyl. Now, we're not going to go into this today, but if you're interested, this is already on my YouTube. So if you go to my YouTube, Kathy Skaggs, it's Kathy with a K, Skaggs with a K. This is already on there. So we don't need to spend our time this morning going over that because people, it's already there. The other two that I like is this one, Easy Screen, and this one, Icon Art Stencil. Icon Art Stencil is really made for fabric and it has a sticky back so you can stick it onto fabric and do a t-shirt. This develops 35 seconds under a UV speedball light. This that we're using today is EZ screen, like the letter E, the letter Z screen. And this develops 1 minute in the sun. We're not going to go over this a lot today because, oh yeah, I just finished a video for you on this. So if you go to my YouTube and
Awesome.
hit the subscribe button, it'll be available, I think, Monday. So we're working on it this weekend. So if you have questions about this, but I have to tell you, I taught myself from their website. They're fabulous people. If you put for either of these sites, clay printing, all one word, 15% discount on these.
Wonderful.
It doesn't get any better. They do share one thing in common, have to have a transparency. And I'll be doing an upcoming video that I printed these off on my printer, but oh man, I've been doing them a lot of crazy ways that I'm going to talk about later, but you have to have a transparency. If you're not familiar with silk screening, don't worry about it. Just go watch the video. It's a lot of information for 45 minutes, but you'll figure it out. It's all good. So I have my silk screens here and I've already picked them out. And I do a lot of overlapping design. So I want to show you what my criteria is. And if you've been in any of my workshops, you've probably heard this before, but let's all talk about it. I like to first silk screen a pattern, kind of an overall pattern, very non-distinct, not a noun, anything that's repetition, something that will lay in the background. And I'm going to silk screen this on first. Then I like to silk screen over that something a little bolder, something that will supplement or not supplement, that will go with what's going to be in the foreground, which is this flower. So if I'm going to put a flower in the foreground, and that's usually in kind of a noun, it's usually the bright, shiny lead player. This usually goes with this. So I have like a repetitive pattern. I've got a design that helps what I want as my wham bam design. This is my wham bam design. Then I have to add a little something, something to it. So these are two silk screens, but let me move them so you can see them here. Whoop, whoop. It's a video thing. Okay. All right. So I'm brushing your hair in the mirror to comb the back. This silk screen will be harder to develop than this silk screen. See how big and bold that is? Oh my gosh, that thing's going to silk screen great. So let's just be putting that to the side and let's be doing this one today. Let's get a slab and let me show you how you're going to apply the inks. I always encase my slabs in plastic. I used to use the plastic, just kind of kitchen plastic, which I love. I don't use dry cleaning plastic. So I wanted a bigger, so I ordered this from Amazon. It's just the same thing you use in the kitchen, but it's wider. I use that, or so it's hooked to my slab roller, or I use shrink wrap from Home Depot. So you can see the green is the shrink wrap from Home Depot. I love it because it's nice and wide. It's cheap. I can get it locally. I don't have to wait for it to arrive. I always encase my slabs in two pieces of plastic, and I'll show you why in a minute. So I'll develop my screens. I spend a day rolling slabs. I encase them in plastic. I stack them up. Now we're ready to print. I print on wet slabs and I build with wet slabs. Why? Because I like to. So the first thing we're going to do before we print is we want to make sure we've got a smooth printing surface. We're going to smooth that out. All right. And what we're going to do first is we're going to print the background first. This is a pretty big, bold background, a little bolder than what I use, but it'll show great on the camera and you'll get the idea. So we're going to go red because you got to have some red dots in excuse me, everything you do. You do not add the ink to the where you're silk screening. Move that up a little bit. You don't add the ink to this. I'm going to add the ink to this, which is my squeegee. So I've bought different kinds of squeegees, but this yellow Cheryl rib is the secret weapon to great silk screening. The other thing is your secret weapon to great silk screening is this. It's taking your yellow sponge, cutting it into quarters, and we're going to also use this. This is great for mixing your colors. You'll notice that my silk screens are pretty small because I have a fear of commitment. I don't want to make one big sheet and have to love that design. What I want to do is to be able to silk screen move, silk screen move, silk screen move. That way I get lots of patterns out of one sheet, makes it affordable, and I can develop my design as I'm working. Any questions yet, Jess?
So folks are commenting a lot that their mind is now like blown with
Their
all that you can
mind is
do.
we want to blow their mind.
That's kind of
We
the
want
theme
them
here, right?
we want to always come to ClayShareCon. You
And
know, the first year I
yeah,
did it, I
I
was
want you to
like,
do it every year.
so the first year I did it, I was like, what is Glacier Con? Wow. I feel like I was really out of touch.
No, no, I mean, we've only done it 6 years, so it's easy. And back then that was our third year.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I'm just going to move this around. I'm not too, something on there. I'm not too worried about if they overlap or don't. And sometimes I'll take yellow and orange and I'll overlap the dots intentionally. It's like pointillism, a little Seurat action. This way of working, you don't have to be like, oh my gosh, or is one dot going to connect to the other? Oh, we don't care. We are going to silk screen with reckless abandon.
I love that.
Yes, you got to have a little bit of fun. Don't buy into that old suffering art thing.
Absolutely not.
All right. Man, I love these inks. Once you start using them, you're going to need a 12-step program to get away from it because you have to keep doing it. Okay. So now we're going to overlap this. And because the inks are opaque, I can overlap. You know, sometimes things will be a little see-through, very minor, which frankly I love 100%. And so I don't worry about it, but for the most part, they're very opaque. They're similar to an underglaze, but not. Sometimes people ask me, they get kind of hung up on which side of the easy screen. See that shine?
Mm.
This is the emulsion side. This is the screen side. And they get kind of hung up on putting the emulsion side down. I pretty much don't get hung up on that stuff. Either way will work. Plus, if you're doing lettering, you don't want to get it done and go, oh, I did it on the wrong side. No, just flip it over. So you can do it. You do have to pick one side when you start because you can't, when you're silk screening, you can't flip it without washing it, of course. So this one, we're going to use a sponge. Why? Because these two inks right here, the hunter green and the yellow, they are going to make a
Mm.
green that's going to knock your socks off. So this is how much ink that I put on. What? These things last like a while. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'll start with this one before I add this other color. We're going to put a little bit of whoop on there. Make sure I get enough on the screen. Let me peek. Okay. You know, when you do a video and it's live like this, you know, that's the time that you hit a little glitch and you're like, I used to worry about that. Now, hey, it is what it is. Now, see how I'm having to get so close there? Like, oh, I don't want the ink to go past it. So what I do in that case is I take here it is. I take a piece of tape and I just add tape here. That gives me a little bit of a extra space so I don't run off. I'm not going to take the time to now look at that. Look at that color.
Nice. I love
That
the
color.
gradation.
Oh, you know, I think these like underglazes, I used to only use kind of the underglazes just as whatever color they came in. Oh, now game on. I just mix
Uh-huh.
them up. The only color that, the only combination that I found that I'm not 100% crazy about is the white and the red. The white goes really good with everything else, but for some reason, you know, the white and the red in ceramics isn't going to make pink. Okay, so let's just kind of, I'm not going to gradate everything because it'll slow me down and you guys have a busy Saturday.
We do. So someone said they were using the white and they screened it over the royal blue and the white basically disappeared. So there's some rules when you're layering colors. Would you like to share like which
Well,
colors should be first?
it's like when you watercolor, you wouldn't put a strong blue down and watercolor yellow over it because you know your blue is going to be dominant. So you have to use a little bit of color theory sense with that. So I would work from my lighter colors to my darker. I'd work from my darker colors, and I would start with dark and overlap to light. Now I could overlap them. I could also change. You know, repetition is your friend. Sometimes when I do these workshops, people want to combine tons of images. I, you know, you have to have a little bit of visual order. So here we're going to, I started with such a little print and now I'm working to, you know, a bigger print.
Now we had a question. Could you do this? And then if you had some underglaze transfers you'd made before, put those on too as well?
You could, I do underglaze transfers. I make my own. And Easy Screen does sell the rice paper for underglaze transfers. That's kind of a whole nother ball game. But if you have them and you wanted to use them, 100% you could, because you're just layering more imagery on it. So that would be fine. Move this out of the way. Now we're going to take and now we're going to add a little bit of, we're going to use this flower. And we're going to use that really strong blue. I'm going to go ahead and apply it with a sponge because I like to. And you want to scrub it like wax on, wax off. Circular. Really push it through the screen. Try to get enough on there. Okay, you can see that this is what I call, for lack of a better terminology, a see-through flower. Like you can see the background through the flower. I'm not so crazy about that. So I'm going to put these on and I'm going to show you how I fix that. So let's silk screen some blue flowers around. And I always work with this overall pattern just because I like it. I must be a frustrated, you know, wallpaper artist. I don't know. Okay. All right. Now, I don't like this see-through so much. So let me. Ready. All right. So what I'm going to do is I have this brush. I use a stiff bristle brush. I don't know where I got this. And now all the paint has come off. And heaven forbid if I lose this specific brush, I don't know what I'm going to do because I love this. So now I'm going to take the white. I'm going to see how much I have. Not much. And I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to mix this color right on the slab. Can you guess where I'm going from here? I'm going to block it in and then I'm going to silk screen back over it.
No mistakes. Happy
No
accidents.
mistake. Hey, if you make a mistake, you just cover that bad boy up with another silk screen. Now I'm trying not to add too much because we have a limited amount of time and it's not so much sitting here watching Kathy use a hair dryer. And when I'm in my studio, frankly, I do have to tell you, I don't use a hair dryer because I don't want to dry out the slab. I may have to in a minute, but you know, take that with a grain of salt now. Also, let me tell you that if you go, some people have messaged me on Instagram after I've presented. Love that 100%. And they've asked me questions, and I love that 100%. And I love the way the green and the red from underneath kind of mix up with that. Ooh, wee, that's art makings right
Yeah,
there.
it's really pretty.
I know. And look at that painterly effect. I mean, I could love that in and of itself.
Kind of like
Because
a morning
it's,
glory, just a bit.
yes. Now, what I did is I tried to keep my silk screen moist. Like if I'm going to do this in my studio, I go and I uh, will wash and dry my silk screen before I silk screen again. Now, what I did when I went off screen is I went and stuck it to another moist slab, thinking maybe it'll stay moist. If it works, great. Okay. So I want it to be a little lighter than that dark blue because if it stays the same color, problem. So let's do that. How's the weather in Vermont?
Yeah, 5 degrees, sunny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's gonna get to 20, I think, today.
Oh
So
God. See what
I won't
it
talk
is
about
here.
wind chill.
It's 59. It's 59 here, and my
That's
husband, like,
terrible.
he hates to get out of the house. He's like, oh my gosh, it's so cold.
Yeah, if it's below zero, I don't like to go out. That's kind of, it's like -18. But, you know, this is why I need to come to Florida so we can do some
Done
workshops in the
and
winter.
done, sister.
Yeah. So
Okay.
could you do
So,
this on leather hard clay as well?
you can. You certainly can. So I unhooked my hair dryer earlier. I'm hooking it back up.
So Kathy's going to use her hair dryer to speed the drying along. So
Yeah,
there's your,
but I
but
don't do
normally you
this
don't.
correct.
Yeah. That's the quietest hair dryer ever.
Oh, really?
Well, that's because
Well, now
Kevin
see if
mutes the sound.
oh, I love that.
Little
Now
production
this
magic.
this is my backup plan. If my other silk screen is clogged up, oh, we'll just use that bad boy. So let's get my other silk screen. Righty. Let's see if we can make sure the ink is going to go through. I'll try it over here. We'll do a little testy test. Oh, sweet. Okay, now if this is well, I think I may just do it one more time. So, Kevin, I guess you're on again here. Let me just do it one more time real quick. Okay. Come in here. You just want to, you can usually see over the, through the silk screen. I just take my best shot and it seems to work out. So we'll add a little bit more ink onto our sponge. I mean, look how much ink you use. Easy.
A little goes a long way.
A little bit. Because you don't want it creeping all up under. You want it just kind of creamy. Wax on, wax off. Oh, is that like beautiful? I love the way that looks.
Yeah, that made it needed that background. It needed
It
to pop.
needed,
It comes forward now.
and I could have put a little yellow or another color with it.
And I love that you can use the screen over and over and over.
Yes. So what I did off screen is because I wasn't sure it was going to work and I didn't feel like showing it to the nation and the world is I didn't want this to dry out. So I have a moist slab over here to over next to where I'm working And I took this over the moist slab and just inked it up and left it on the moist slab. That way it didn't dry out.
Yeah, pretty smart. It's like you've done that before.
Pretty darn down because, this is the thing. You don't really become good at what you do unless you mess up a lot. And I mean a lot. It's like my friend used to tell me, the things on the cover of Ceramics Monthly are not the first thing that came out of their kiln. They probably threw away 150 pots to get that one that is spectacular. And I could have changed colors here a little bit. I could have mixed another color. I just wanted to make sure you could kind of see what I'm doing. Now, let me see. Okay, so I was looking for my great little fly, but I think this guy is going to be my volunteer. Just double check. Oh, here he is.
Oh, a little bee? Is he a little
Little
bee?
bee boy. All
Little bee
right.
friend?
So a lot of times I'll leave a little end off on this, or I'll add a piece of tape like this as a tab to hold on to it. And this is kind of small. Like if I try to use this or even a sponge, no, so go. So I use these, which are spatulas. This one I got at the art supply, and I love it because it's really, really, it has to be really rigid. So what I can do on here, I always save the black for the end because the black is like boom, boom, take over all the other colors. I mean, it really overrides everything. But for your final thing, it's great. So now all I have to do is come in here and I can kind of squeeze in there with my spatula and I don't have to get it over everything. And you can see, boy, that black jumps out.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah, so let's
Pops.
try this little guy because I do love this little guy and I do use him. So not to say I don't, but I want to make sure I'll do it over here. So if I mess up, you can pretend it didn't happen. All right, so you can see maybe, let's see if I can lift it up.
Oh, I love the little one you did.
Yes. So, but see how the wings are? Trying to get ceramic material through those hairlines. But look at those flowers. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I love them. Okay, so let's say I'm done printing. We have 10 minutes, is that right?
You do. You've got 10 minutes.
Oh,
That's a lifetime.
that's forever.
I knew you'd say that.
Okay, let's move our inks out of the way. Yeah, I do like that one little bee. But, sometimes when I demo online, sometimes they're hard to see. So I want to make sure you stay with me. So I'm going to take my plastic. I don't worry that it's all straight. And I'm going to take it and just rub it down. This is going to protect the surface when I go to build. Now, I can leave this slab for a couple of days, but we're going to build with it right now. So, as I told you before, I love me some GR pottery forms. GR pottery forms. Like I said the other day, Elmer's glue. This is Pellon Flex Foam. It's about a 1/4 inch thick, and I Elmer glue it to it. Why? Because I want that curved edge right here. And sometimes I don't have it on there. Yeah, that edge is fine, but I'm just showing you what I did because I know you might want to know. The other thing I use is these kind of hump molds that I can put things over. This is from the ceramic shop. I bought it. They have a great online store. I think they're in Philadelphia.
They
They're
are.
like,
Yeah, they have a
oh,
huge store. I'm actually sharing I
huge.
went there last May for their open studio event and did a
Yes.
presentation with the extruders. And I filmed like before they opened up little tour. And I'm going to put that up today during the lunch break so people can see yeah, so they go
Oh,
shopping with me.
yes. So I traced around this because I need to cut, I may want to cut out of this, but this is a stuff called craft text. I buy it from Amazon.
Ah.
It looks like paper, but it's actually fabric. You can rinse it off. I use it on my slab roller. I use it for all my templates. I no longer use tar paper for any templates because I had some Texas teachers that were worried that it might be a little
Mm.
carcinogenic.
Yeah, I wonder about
So
that because
this I found when I was making purses, you can't tear it because it's
I gotta
actually fabric. Craft text. Some of it's pre-washed, some of it's unwashed because it's actually a fabric. Of course, you'll see the washed is very crinkly. This is at Amazon. I wish I owned part of this company right here. Okay. So let's say we're going to build on this one since we have such a big, bold pattern. So what I do is I'm going to put this on here. I take one of my favorite construction things. Any questions?
So, folks are just talking about the love of GR pottery forms and the foam material you shared, the Pellon and everything, asking about that. Now, you've shared that a few times, and I think 2 years
Yes.
ago when you were with us, or three years ago, 2020, 323, you did a demo and you talked a lot about that. That was a big part of it. So go back
Yeah.
and watch that.
I just have a lot of, so because I've encased this in plastic, I can draw on it with a Sharpie, which is what I did. Then I'm going to use my favorite tool, my pizza cutter, and I'm going to cut this a little bit bigger than the line. I'm not really cutting it. It just kind of crinkles it down, but it gives me this great edge.
Yeah.
I love me some pizza cutter. Okay, then I take my other favorite pottery tool, oh, my pair of scissors.
I know there's a lot of people out there that are just like, you're what? Cutting clay with scissors?
This is the most satisfying thing
I
on the
love
planet.
it. Yes. I've
And
actually
it
never
gives you
done
this
that. I'm
great
gonna have to.
edge. Oh, girl.
I gotta do it. Like, I'm
So
like, what is happening? It's
people ask
amazing.
me, what do I do with these scraps? I either A, wipe them off with a sponge and re-roll a slab, or I do what I did here. And what I did is I lined up my scraps, overlapped them by 1/4 inch, use a rolling pin, bam, knocked them all down.
Mm-hmm.
This is all made from scraps. Then I silk screened some extra birds on here so it didn't look totally hodgepodge. So this is scraps. This is where your art lives. Don't let it go. Okay, then I am going to take this. I'm going to pull the plastic off the back. Love these. Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
Or Jessica, don't you have some texture
I do. I
rollers?
have some wooden rollers as
Girl,
well. Have I not sent you any?
I don't, we should, what are we thinking?
What is
What was I
happening,
thinking?
Kathy? No, I'm making
Gosh,
notes. We'll get you taken care of. Kevin, don't
not
forget.
a
Write that
texture
on your board.
because I use Celadon glazes. So look how beautiful the Celadon glazes does
Yes.
over that
So nice.
surface. So nice. So we'll take this, put something up under it, take the slab. Now I cut it bigger because I'm not always a good shot. So I kind of try to get it right where it needs to go. And then I'm going to do the whammo. Because the slab's so wet, it'll just conform. And because it's long enough, I can trim that off later. Okay, and then I let that sit overnight. And then I pop it off. I use a Sureform around the edges. And then I put a Celadon glaze on it. I mix a Celadon with a clear.
Mm-hmm.
I like it better than just a clear glaze.
Yeah.
So
like the
this
hint
is
of color.
another one that I printed. This shows you, this is that little circle thing I talked about. And I just love me some pattern. A girl can never have too much pattern. Okay. So let me, oh no, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Whoa. So that's how we print on clay. So Monday, hopefully my YouTube will go out. So if you subscribe on the YouTube, my name, not Amoco's name, Kathy Skaggs, you'll see the YouTube on how to do easy screen. There's already a YouTube about how to do the heat transfer vinyl silk screens like this. And you can ask me questions on Instagram. I love to hear from you. You can ask me questions. I didn't realize, like on YouTube, if you put a comment, it goes to my email. I didn't realize that. So I answer all of them. I love
Mine
you. And
isn't
I'm
turned
here to
on. I need
help.
to do that. we have some questions. So you will be at Nsika, right?
I will. I'll be demonstrating every day in the Amoco booth, and wait till you see that Amoco booth.
Oh, I'm
Whoa.
excited. I'm gonna
They
stop
have,
by.
they have, it's going to be off the chain. It is crazy good. Wait till you see
And
it.
I can't wait. And then the other question is, will you be at the Fired Arts Expo in Waukesha this year in
I
August?
don't think I'm going to make it to the
Not
Fire
gonna
Arts
go.
Expo. I don't think my schedule is just kind of tightened up, and you know, it is
And
what it is. I'll be at NAEA the week before in Sika. So I'll be in Louisville. I think it's in Louisville. And I'll be there every day in the booth.
okay,
So, you know,
so your schedule is that on your website, so people
it
can
is.
find
It's
you. They can come see.
Kathy-Skaggs.com.
Okay. Oh my gosh, so many great ideas. Thank you, Kathy, so much for a wonderful Clay Share Con. Thank you so much for being with us. It has been a joy, and I have so many ideas. Thank
Thank
you
you,
for
Jessica.
everything.
Thank you, Kevin. You guys rocked it. You do so much for the clay community. I love how accessible you are, and I love the common sense stuff you throw out there that
Oh,
helps all new and experienced potters. Good job.
well, thank you. We do it for the clay community, and we're so happy to have you here. So let's chat soon.
Oh, we
So
will.
we will.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
So many amazing things.
If you aren't familiar with the Amoco ceramic inks that Kathy's been using, she did share them. We're on day 4, day 2, I think she shared them and talked about them in detail a bit. So if you want to know more information. Now the ceramic shop does have a discount, but I believe they're out of stock. I'm not sure if they're going to let you use the discount. Maybe you can back order them. I don't know. Reach out to the ceramic shop and find out. I know Blick.com does not have any discounts. They have some of them in stock, not all of them. So check them out and give printing on clay. Actually, I grabbed a thing I did printing on clay back when I was in graduate school in 2012. And I had to show Kathy it, but it's a terracotta back before I switched to porcelain. But I'm so inspired by Kathy and all the ideas she has given me that I want to go back and look at this older work of mine and kind of keep exploring. I mean, that's the whole point, right? You keep exploring, you keep playing with different ideas, and you just keep going forward with your work. So huge thank you to Kathy and of course to Amoco for sponsoring Clay Share Con and being a part of this year's event. So we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to have Alex from Alexandria Pottery Co. She's going to show you how to make a hexagon faceted cup. I can't wait. I've been giving away the set right here all week long, and now you get to see how to make them. So come back here and join us for that tutorial.